Alright, so if you are looking to take the AB 900, definitely watch this video as I talk about my personal experience taking the exam. I took it on the beta when it was in beta, and I got my result back 3 weeks ago. I had a goal this year, 2026, to do at least 3 exams, and I've done the first one, which I'm super happy with, and it's February now. I've got 2 more to go, but essentially in this video, I'll cover, what to expect. Obviously, we can't break, NDA, but just in general, what the exam was like and how to potentially prepare for it as well. So stay tuned. All right, so we are on the official Microsoft Learn page. If you type in AB 900, you should be on the same page. So the first thing to talk about is who is this exam best, suited for. In my personal opinion, I think if you're a functional consultant, this exam is definitely great to look into. If you're a developer, maybe not, but doesn't stop you from doing it as well. If you're an administrator or even an agent administration person, this will be great for you as well. And as it mentions in the at glance, the role is someone who's like an administrator, mainly because a lot of the things that or I guess a lot of things that you'll be learning in here is all about knowing where to go and knowing where things are, right? So that's more of an administration role. So looking at the official page, we can see here there is a section for how to prepare for the exam. You've got the training in this course. You've got 2 modules here, or there's a bit more modules once we click on it, but we've got 2 here. The first one is exploring the Microsoft 365 administration, and we can see that there's 3 modules inside there. And the second one is exploring Microsoft 365 Copilot and then the agent administration, and there's 3 modules there as well. It's around 3 hours for the first one and then 3 hours for the second one as well. So, in total, say 7 hours. So one thing you can definitely start with any exam is have a look at the study guide. So if I click on the study guide, this page honestly is your go-to. So if we just scroll down just a little bit, you can see here the audience profile, and then in here skills at glance. It gives you the top 3 sort of skills that or how the exam is actually, I guess, measured. Obviously these can change as you take the exam, but in general, if you identify the core features and objects of Microsoft 365 services, it's around the 30 to 35% of the exam. Understand data protection and governance tasks for Microsoft 365 and Copilot, it's around 35 to 40. And then performing basic administrative tasks for Copilot and Agent, it's around 25 to 30%. So the first tip I can say is definitely start on this page. Start from here all the way till all 3 of them essentially. So let's go through the first one. Identify the core features and objects of Microsoft 365 services. If you're a functional consultant and you're a bit more hands-on, most of the stuff you kind of already aware of, but don't skip it. Still go through each line just to make sure you sort of understand and know how to do it or where to go about it. Again, this exam, me personally, I think this exam was more of a know where to go, not how to configure it, but not understanding where things are and the capabilities for each feature. So explain how license types are assigned to users and groups affects access to Microsoft 365 features. That's you need to understand when you give a license to a user or even a group, how that affects their access to the Microsoft 365 features or services that user is using. Explore the organization configuration by using the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. So things like creating or linking the domain name or creating the domain and or even setting up the organization settings in the Admin Center. Identify the appropriate objects to configure by using the Exchange Online Admin Center. Things like mailbox and distribution list. So again, you should definitely go to like the Exchange Online Admin Center and understand how to set up mailboxes or just understand where, I guess, mailboxes and distribution lists are for Exchange Online Admin, and you should be good on that regards. Identify the appropriate object to configure by using the SharePoint again. So you can kind of see here there's a bit of a theme, right? It starts off with the overall sort of services, a license, and then goes into the configuring Microsoft 365 Admin Center for the domain organization settings, and then it goes into the Exchange Online Admin Center, and then it goes to the SharePoint Microsoft 365 Admin Center. So these two will be different platforms to manage different features or services. And then the other one is again goes to SharePoint, things like the roles and permissions and things like that. And then we move on to Teams. So already in here, there's like three different things or three different areas admin centers or will usually go for those services. So if it's for Teams, you'll be at the Teams admin center. You need to understand how to create teams, channels, or even how to apply policies to a team or channel. In the admin center for SharePoint, you should be able to know how to create sites, libraries, and folders. Similar in here as well. Once you're happy with that, you can move on to the next one. The next one is all about the security principles for Microsoft. So understanding the zero trust principle, understanding authorization, the different types of authentication methods that you can enable for a user, understanding threat protection and intelligence, understanding features and capabilities of Microsoft Defender XDR. Definitely very, very important to look into this one. If you type in Microsoft Defender XDR, this page is great. You can even log in as well. Again, it's a fundamental exam, so it's not more about knowing how to configure it, just more of this exists, and the reason why it exists is because of this and these other features. Just understanding the high level, and then you're going to be fine. Moving on, we've got of course, the Microsoft Entra. I can't forget about that. Understanding conditional access policies, how to configure it. Maybe not how to configure it, but just understand, why it's there. Some of the capabilities that administrators could potentially apply or use. Understanding the purpose and benefits of single sign-on. We've all used this before. What's the benefits of it? What's the purpose of it? Understanding the appropriate security objects to use in an organization, so things like users and groups. So let's keep going a bit more, and then as you can kind of see right here, it starts off with just a general view of the Microsoft services, the securities and things like that. And then as you go more down here, it starts to look at Microsoft Purview, which is very, very important. So understanding things like, I guess what Microsoft Purview is. Let's start with that first of all, and then also, the different types of services inside Microsoft Purview. Things like the Microsoft Purview Insider Risk Management, Microsoft Purview Communication Compliance, Microsoft Purview Data Security Posture Management, for AI, and Microsoft Purview Data Lifecycle Management. So each of these are different services for Microsoft that are inside Microsoft Purview. When to use them, what they do, that's all you need to understand. Identify the use cases for sensitivity labels in Microsoft Purview. So, just understanding like when you have like Word documents and stuff, or Excel sheets, or even Outlook, at the very top, if you were to enable sensitivity labels, what that does and why it's important and things like that. Understanding data classification in Microsoft Purview, pretty much similar to this one, just understanding why it's necessary to classify data, things like, is this public information, is it private, is it classified, things like that. Understanding retention, so like how long certain data can be retained and when you can delete them and things like that. And then it goes into a bit of data security of Copilot, so understanding how Copilot accesses data. So what we'll do is we'll pause here actually, and I'll say with Copilot, start to go into start with the Microsoft 365 Copilot. I'm sure most of us have used it by now, but if you haven't and you're preparing for this exam, definitely start here. When you reach here, when you reach the data security implication for Copilot, just have a little play around with it, understand what you can do in here. If you were to ask the Copilot a question or something, how the information is delivered to you. And then once you've done that, maybe have a look at the all agents, the built by agents by Microsoft. So these are agents that are already built. Potentially go ahead and create a new agent and just play around with it, understand what the scribe and configure tabs really do. Give your agent a name, give it a description. Like I've created a very simple one here. At the very top, you can see it's called Microsoft Learned Agent. It's very simple. All I said was you are basically a Microsoft Learned Agent and you're helping me to study for AB 900. Use the AB 900 official website to give me answers when I'm studying. So it was more like a study buddy essentially. Give it some instructions, like for example, I've given it guidelines that it should only use the official website. Understanding here what types of knowledge you can give the agent, whether it's a specific website or whether you allow the agent to search all websites or only use specific sources. Understand the capabilities in here. If you were to turn this on, it allows the agent to analyze data. So you can create graphs and PowerPoints and things like that, even images, which is quite cool. Understand that you can, suggest prompts. You can give them a title, message, and then once you've done the configure, switch it to describe and just see what's the difference between describing the agent here or configuring it, And if you were to start with describe, does that automatically fill in the configuration tab as well? Once you create your agent, you can play around with it, ask questions and all that, and that is all you need to do really. Going back to here, understand how Microsoft Graph influences Copilot responses. Super important, and I won't go into it much, but that's definitely explained in the learning as well. Understand how Copilot uses permissions and other controls in Microsoft 365, Microsoft Purview, and Microsoft Defender to protect against risk. Understand responsible AI principles. This one's super important actually. Identify protections and governance risk for Microsoft 365 and Copilot. So now it goes into more of the data governance, right, for Copilot. So things like compliance risk, identify sensitive information by using Microsoft Purview, Data Explorer. That's another service as well. Same with the insider risk management. All of these are on Purview, right? So like I said, for Purview, once you learn all of these ones, they're all inside Purview, so you can understand them as well. Identify risk by using insider risk management, identify policy violation generated by communication compliance. Communication compliance is another service in Purview. Identify user activities reported by Microsoft Purview, Activity Explorer, another one there. Describe and manage AI activity by using DSPM for AI. So that's this one here. If we go to the Purview, so that's the Microsoft Purview Data Security Posture Management. That's another service. Understand what is it for, and that's it really. You don't have to configure anything. It's just understanding what is it for, and just understanding the use cases. Because if you know it, then you can maybe potentially suggest it as well. Moving on to this one, now it goes into SharePoint, right? So it's touching a little bit of everywhere. Now it's SharePoint. You need to identify the tools available to troubleshoot oversharing in an organization. I can give you an example here. Like for example, if someone created a SharePoint file and let's say that person was meant to just share it with like another person in the organization, but instead of sharing it with that particular person itself, they've decided to maybe do share with like an external or public link. So that's oversharing, right? You meant to just share it with one person, but now you're sharing it with that link is actually available to everyone, which means you're oversharing. So just understanding like small things like that. run a data access governance report and SharePoint. It's just a governance report in SharePoint. So if you go to SharePoint admin, you'll be able to do that as well. Understand features and capabilities of SharePoint, advanced management, including restricted site access. And then now it goes into Copilot and agents. So it's giving a little bit of a touch on Copilot, but not much on agents. But now it's giving you the administrative tasks for Copilot and agents in here. So understanding features and capabilities of Copilot and agents. You're looking at compare the built-in capabilities for Copilots and agents. You can do this by, like I said, playing around with the Microsoft 365 Copilot here, and then going into Copilot Studio and just playing around with it, right? Create an agent, understand what's the difference if I create an agent in Copilot Studio compared to the agents that I created in Microsoft 365. What are the different features available in here that I can do or I can't do in here? Obviously with Copilot Studio, if you create an agent, you've got many tools that you can integrate the agent with. For example, if you were creating an agent for like a service desk, right, that service desk could potentially be linked to ServiceNow. So that's an external platform and it's a bit more hands-on, right? That doesn't mean that you have to create it. It's just understanding the capabilities that you can do with Copilot Studio compared to just the easy bit in Microsoft 365 Copilot. So you can already kind of assume that Copilot for Microsoft 365 agents, it's more for the fun, business users, potentially for functional consultants, everyday users who just want to, create agents that will help them speed up their work. Where for agents, you could probably use it for more complex, more for the developers, right? More complex scenarios or business use cases. So it's just about understanding what the capabilities is, and then you should be good to go. All right, so we're looking at the Copilot monthly license model. So there's two of them. So you've got obviously the pay-as-you-go, or I think the other one is, I think it's like monthly. So what's the difference between doing a pay-as-you-go or monthly? Just understanding what the difference are, then you should be good to go. Identify which Copilot features can be enabled or disabled, and where. That's a very important as well. Where can you enable these Copilots? Identify use cases for researcher. So researcher is an agent in Microsoft 365 Copilot. So if you go to Copilot, go to all agents, you'll find the research agent, play around with it, see what it can do, the capabilities. Same for the analysis agent as well, and just look at what kind of things I can do with this agents, and you should be fine. And then identify use cases for custom agents. So again, custom agents, that's you creating your own agents. What are the possibilities? We've already kind of gone through the ability to be able to pick a specific size for knowledge or adding a Word document, the capabilities that it allows the agents to do if you were to turn these on, and then of course creating it in here as well and seeing the unlimited capabilities that you can do. All right, moving on to the administrative task for Copilot. You need to know how to assign Copilot licenses and where to go, where to monitor and manage Copilot pay-as-you-go billing policies, monitor Copilot usage, and then the last one is the same, but this time for agents. So Copilot, this one, agents are similar with this one, but more in depth in here as well. So you need to understand how to configure user access for agents, how to create an agent, understand approval process for agents, and lastly, monitor agents, including their usage. Who's using this agent. If you were an administrator and the organization wants to know, we're paying hundreds of dollars every month. Who's actually using these agents, and are they actually beneficial to the company's, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, return on investment, I guess. You need to understand where to go and how to generate those reports so that you can give it to your managers and stuff like that. All right, so that's the learning. In my honest opinion, I reckon if you go through from top to bottom, you should be fine for the exam. The other thing, obviously, as I explained, is you don't have to go full on, but just playing around with things. Starting here, going to the agent's Copilot Studio, go into Microsoft Purview, going into Microsoft Defender, going into Microsoft Power Platform Administrator, and just seeing what kind of layout is there, what you can do there. Of course, Purview, super important, understanding all of the different services inside Microsoft Purview, and you should be all good for the exam. Let me know, if you do take the exam and if this video helped you. I'd love to know. Leave it a comment, and if you have taken the exam, let me know if I've missed anything. I reckon it wasn't too bad, as long as you go through these two modules. You should be able to pass. And the other thing is, the good thing about going through these modules is that there is an exam, like a module assessment, that just assesses you based on what you've just learned. So, I just go through it like every day, 1 hour, and then do the module assessment, test yourself with what you've just learned, and you should be good to go. And of course, do a little bit of hands-on, just where things are. It's not much about configuring, it's just more understanding this is where things are, this is what the service is, this is what it's for, and you should be fine. All right, gotta go. Catch you on the next one.